Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, about explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Captain Valerie Littlejohn with the Office of Media Relations. We want to update you on an officer-involved shooting that occurred on August 22nd, 2022. At approximately 1:18 p.m., Oklahoma City Police received a call to 2221 Southwest 78th Street in reference to two Oklahoma County deputies being shot while serving an eviction notice. A third Oklahoma County deputy was also on scene during the incident. The suspect fled the scene in a gray truck pulling a boat. A description of the suspect and his vehicle were provided to officers in the area. At approximately 1:30 p.m., an Oklahoma City officer located the suspect driving east on Southwest 89th Street near Walker Avenue. Officers attempted to stop the suspect near Southeast 89th Street and Shields Boulevard. The suspect refused to stop for the officers, initiating a pursuit. At one point, the suspect stopped his vehicle at an angle next to a semi-truck, but then continued driving, eventually entering onto Interstate 35. As the suspect was on the northbound service road of Interstate 35, Sergeant Patton attempted to perform a TVI on the trailered boat of the suspect's vehicle. TVI stands for Tactical Vehicle Intervention and is a controlled contact maneuver to disable a fleeing suspect's vehicle.
Said that he had a gun in the car with him and shooting while driving, so he's armed.
The TVI was unsuccessful and the suspect continued driving, entering onto Interstate 35 northbound. While entering onto the highway, the suspect vehicle swerved, hitting Sergeant Patton's vehicle. While driving north on Interstate 35, the suspect fired at an Oklahoma County deputy, striking his vehicle while traveling past Southeast 44th Street. The suspect continued to fire his gun at officers, which can be heard in the officer's dash cam video.
Hey, look good. Let me slide around you. I got a rifle. Hey, who's up front of the TV out there?
Get off the radio. Shots fired. He's shooting out of his window.
Everybody back off except for that front car. Let's give him a chance. Everyone's with you. You want me to call this? Yes, everyone call it.
Shots fired again. Shots fired. He's still shooting.
Officer Boxwell set up on the inside shoulder of southbound Interstate 35 around Southeast 25th Street and discharged his rifle at the suspect as he drove past him.
Just going to 25th.
The suspect continued driving. Shortly after, Sergeant Patton, who was the first
Alright, so let's back this up.
25th, Boxwell set up on the inside shoulder of southbound Interstate 35 around Southeast 25th Street and discharged his rifle at the suspect as he drove past him.
Just going to 25th.
So this is an acceptable thing in my opinion. This guy has shown and proven that he is a substantial risk to the rest of the public. He's a clear and present danger. While he's driving, he's shooting at officers. And although, this guy may not have been shooting at this particular officer, this officer is trying to end this incident. And I see no problem with this whatsoever. I'd say this is perfectly legal under Tennessee versus Gardner. This guy's trying to flee, but he is a substantial risk to the rest of the public. So I have no problem with this officer dumping rifle rounds at this guy as he's driving by. There is good backdrop right here. If he misses, then rounds are going to be terminating into this wall right here. So this is a great setup for him to just fucking dump a bunch of rifle rounds into the cab of this vehicle, trying to get him to stop. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. When you back it up, you can see more of his rifle.
Shots fired. He's still shooting.
Officer Boxwell set up on the inside shoulder of southbound Interstate 35.
He has more of a scope on the rifle. I'm not the biggest fan of scoped rifles. I think that kind of limits you to some extent on what you can do with that rifle. Now, he could have an offset red dot or irons up on the other side of the receiver right there. That's what some people do. They'll put a scope on top and then they'll put like a 45-degree offset mount to the side, and they'll have iron sights on the side. That way all they got to do is just sort of tilt the gun a little bit and look through those irons or look through a red dot optic. That can work, but I just don't think that's very optimal. When you put a big scope on a rifle like this, you kind of limit it to just a designated marksman rifle. And although that's great for, making good precise shots at a distance, it's not so great for close-up work. It's just, I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Around Southeast 25th Street and discharged his rifle at the suspect as he drove past him.
Just north of 25th.
The suspect continued driving. Shortly after, Sergeant Patton, who was the first patrol vehicle behind the suspect, discharged his rifle from inside his vehicle toward the suspect vehicle.
Break 4, shots fired. Break 4, shots fired.
The suspect swerved to the outside shoulder of the highway, but then continued north.
Yeah, we're just here going by 40. Going down.
The suspect entered onto
4, shots fired. Break 4, shots fired.
Shooting within a car. So this is the cool guy shit that everybody wants to do. Vehicle tactics class, that's like the fucking, the Disney World attraction for those kind of classes is people get to shoot through the fucking windshield, right? Like, that's what most people want to do. Shooting through a windshield can be done, but it's not the greatest thing because the windshield, as being glass, laminate glass, will deflect your rounds. If you put a target right at the end of your car, right at the tip of the hood, and you aim through your windshield and you shoot through that windshield, you're going to hit that target. If you take a match grade gun, it's got, marksmanship sights on it, very precise, and you aim at a very precise spot on there, and you take a person who is a great shot and put them in there, and they aim at the bullseye and they fire one round, that round is going to be off a little bit. It's not going to exactly hit where they want it to hit at. As you move that target a little bit further away from the vehicle, that deviation becomes a lot more noticeable. It's way off the mark. And you get up to a certain point, you're not even hitting the fucking target anymore. It throws the round off that much. So, the key to hitting exactly what you want is once you make a hole in the windshield, try to send all the other bullets through that same hole. Now, while driving, that's going to be extremely difficult to do. So, if able, you fire a rifle through the windshield, if you're able to push that muzzle forward and make it go through that hole, then do that. Get that fucking muzzle through that hole, and then once you fire more rounds, obviously the rounds are not going to be touching glass, laminate glass. It's just going to be hitting air and then, hitting target after that point. So although he's shooting at the bad guy, I'd say most likely none of those rounds hit the fucking truck. Most likely. At least the first one probably didn't. The other issues with shooting inside a car is, one, it is super fucking loud. I mean, loud as shit. So you're going to have that issue. You're going to have tinnitus. You're not going to hear very well after those first few rounds. And then the other issue is the glass dust that is created when you pulverize that portion of the windshield. And while you're driving, air is now coming through that hole, blowing that air dust everywhere in that vehicle. So that glass dust presents a problem when it gets in your eyes. That is a particulate matter that will cause involuntary eye closure because it's going to hurt like hell when it gets in your eyes. So if that gets in both eyes and you're driving at like 80 miles per hour and you have involuntary eye closure at that point, you might be a little fucked. You're going to have to rapidly deaccelerate while you try to rapidly blink and be able to look to see where to steer your vehicle to a safe spot and stop. Because you're not going to be able to continue doing anything if you cannot keep your eyes open. So, I would recommend closing one eye when shooting. That way, if that one eye that's open does become impacted by glass dust, you can open the other eye and use that to safely operate or steer the vehicle.
The suspect swerved to the outside shoulder of the highway, but then continued north.
Yeah, we're just here going down 40, northbound.
The suspect entered onto Interstate 40 going east. The suspect suddenly exited the highway at the Air Depot exit, driving toward the Tinker Air Force Gate. The suspect held a rifle out of the window as he pulled up to the gate with several occupied vehicles around. As the suspect came to a stop at the gate, he was still holding the rifle out of the window before dropping it to the ground and exiting the vehicle with his hands in the air.
Tell them to get! Tell them to get! Move everybody! Get everybody out!
Several officers converged on the suspect and placed him into custody.
Tell them to get! Tell them to get! Move everybody! Get everybody out! Hey!
Stop! Bro, stop!
Put your hands behind your back.
I can't!
Get on your stomach. Get on your stomach. Get on your stomach. Put your hands behind your back.
I'm dead!
Several other firearms were located in the suspect's vehicle. The suspect was identified as Benjamin Plank. He did not sustain any injuries from gunfire. Deputy Bobby Schwartz, who was with the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office for 25 years, did not survive his injuries. Deputy Mark Johns was critically injured and treated at an area hospital. Deputy Johns was released several days later from the hospital. Suspect Plank was booked into the Oklahoma County Detention Center on several charges to include first-degree murder, shooting with intent to kill, assault and battery with a deadly weapon, and use of a vehicle in the discharge of a weapon. Sergeant Patton and Officer Boxwell have been placed on routine administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. The investigation is still in the early stages and will take time to complete.
All right, so let's back that up. The arrest.
Hey!
So that one deputy, he goes in, he does work. I like that. He's attempting to get him down while he still has a rifle, it looks like.
Hey!
Stop! Bro, stop!
Put your hands behind your back.
I can't!
Get on your stomach. So, I don't know if his name is Blue.
Hey!
Stop! Bro, stop!
Put your... I don't know who Blue is and why they're saying Blue stop.
Hey!
Stop! Bro, stop!
So his rifle, I believe this is going to be his rifle. He gets the guy down to the ground. Another officer comes up and gets a hold of this dude. So this rifle is somewhat kind of in the way, so to speak. It's not totally needed at this point. There's no need to be shooting. But it's still something that you need to maintain security over.
I can't.
At this point, I think it would have been perfectly acceptable with all these other people around for him to just kind of push the rifle backwards some, let one of them take it over. If he had it on a sling, or it does have a sling, but if he had it slung, he could have just kept it on his body and then went hands on. And I think, like I said, since he didn't have it slung, I think it would have been appropriate in that instant to go ahead and just kind of shove the rifle back, let them take it over, while he can continue to go hands on and get control over this guy. But instead, he just handles the rifle, and he's kind of not able to do anything at this point. This first officer, who does have a rifle in one hand and a taser in the other, ends up deploying taser on this guy. Great. I like the quick deployment of taser on this dude. He's resisting. Why continue to try to wrestle with him and fight with him? Just fucking pop his ass with taser, achieve NMI, neuromuscular incapacitation, and be done with it. So he does a close proximity fire.
Get on your stomach!
And then he tries to do a follow-up drive stun in another part of the body to complete the circuit.
Get on your stomach! Get on your stomach! Put your hands behind your back. I'm dead.
And then you see more probes here. So I'm assuming that he pulled the trigger again on it and fired the other cartridge, which is why you see probes up here. You see someone doing head control on this guy, maintaining control over his head, pressing it down. That's a pretty good move. I like that tactic of pinning their head down to the ground. If you can pin a person's head down to the ground, you can pretty effectively immobilize them and prevent them from getting back up. Now, of course, you got to have some other people involved. You could wiggle out of this, but while they're there, yeah, that is a great technique to use. Just pin that damn head down on the ground. It keeps them from being able to raise their torso up, and it also fucking hurts like hell. So that's also a bit of a pain compliance move right there. See a portable radio laying right here on the ground. Don't know why this is on the ground. It could have been that someone was using the portable radio and they were talking into it, and then they had to very quickly use their hands, and the best thing for them to do was to drop it. Or they were using it and they put it back in a pouch, but they did not secure the pouch. They didn't fasten the retention thing on it, and as they were moving around doing stuff, it fell out. So this is why I say that lapel mics, the little shoulder microphones, little cord that attaches to it, are essential for public safety. It is life-saving equipment. It is a necessary life-saving equipment to have for a two-way radio. Doing this line of work, you don't need to be pulling the radio off your belt and talking into it. You need to have a lapel mic on it. It makes it much simpler to be able to do the communications part and to be able to retain your radio in a fight. So that's one of the risks when you have a radio on your belt without a lapel mic. You have to take that radio out of its pouch, talk to it or talk into it, and then put it back. And to make sure that the radio don't fall out, you need to put the retention strap back over it. Otherwise, it could fall out, or because you've got the damn radio in your hand and something happens all of suddenly, then you got to make a choice. Do you keep it in your hand or do you drop it? And if you lose your communications, then that really sucks. All right. So multiple other people out with rifles. I like seeing the rifles out. Usually that's one of my chief complaints when it comes to these videos, people not having rifles out or anything. But this is not the case. They've got rifles out. That's great. He even has hearing protection on as well. I just now noticed that. So he's got ear pro on for this incident. Not something I've noticed before in other stuff. That's a little something unique. But what I also see is slings not being utilized. So they got slings on the rifles. There's a reason for slings. Slings are like the holster for a handgun, right? A sling will allow you to keep the rifle on you so you don't have to put it on the ground, and also be able to stow it out of the way, so to speak. You can have it go to the back side and it'll be completely out of the way. You can be hands-on. Sometimes you're just not able to get that sling on, like the officer who got out of his vehicle and came up, the one whose camera view we were watching. He didn't necessarily have a whole lot of time to put that sling on. He could have draped it around his neck and kind of done like a modified 1-point sling kind of configuration with it, wear it like a necklace. But it was very, very rapid that this occurred. So I can't say anything negative about him not putting the sling on, but it's something that he could have done. But like I said, is kind of a fast, rapidly evolving thing. There's other guys showing up. They should obviously be utilizing their slings and be able to get hands on a lot quicker, because at this point there's only 3 people with hands on, and he's still struggling. And of course the MPs are just standing there. They could very easily jump in and help out. They're not, for whatever reason. They're just standing around looking fucking dumbfounded. But this guy is in perfect position to jump in there and get hands on and help these guys out. But for whatever reason, he doesn't.
Several other firearms were located in
So it's got a lot going on in this car.
the suspect's vehicle. The suspect was identified as Benjamin Plank. He did not sustain any injuries from gunfire. Deputy Bobby Schwartz, who was with the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office for 25 years, did not survive his injuries. Deputy Mark Johns was critically injured and treated at an area hospital. Deputy Johns was released several days later from the hospital. Suspect Plank was booked into the Oklahoma.
So this round looks like it came in straight from the side. I'd say this could have been the officer who had stopped his car and got out and shot at him as he went by.
County Detention Center.
That would seem to be the most likely way that this bullet hole ended up there.
Several charges to include first-degree murder, shooting with intent to kill.
This looks like it could be on the boat. Has that sparkly kind of paint look to it.
Assault and battery with a deadly weapon, and use of a vehicle in the discharge of a weapon. Sergeant Patton and Officer Boxwell have been placed on routine administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. The investigation is still in the early stages and will take time to complete.
Hey.
Stop! Bro, stop! Stop!
Put your hands behind your back.
Hands behind your back. I can't. Get on your stomach. Bro, get on your stomach. Get on your stomach. Put your hands behind your back. I'm dead. Oh, shit. I'm dead. Bro, I'm dead. Bro, I'm dead.
Hands behind your back.
No, stop. I'm dead.
Several other
Get everybody out.
Alright, so there's not much else to say for this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.